time for our semifinals here of round 3. My name is Wolf. With me tonight is Moonblade, and we've got two incredible teams starting us off here. And this is going to be another great match, Moonblade.
It is, Wolf. It's going to be very excited. I can't wait to see what SOS can get up to today. Yesterday, all killing CJ. Quite a huge surprise, but he's finally reached that level he was a couple of years back.
Absolutely. Well said. Take a look at KT Rolster. Bringing in here in second place in round 3. The +9 indicator currently at 162 points in this league. On the other side of things, Jin Green Wings with a much better score overall at 203. However, didn't have the best round, so they had to fight their way through CJ Entis. They did so easily, and as you mentioned, SOS will be starting today again in a Protoss versus Protoss, this time versus Zest.
That's right. It's going to be a lot of fun. Zest has gotten the better of SOS in their last couple of encounters in Pro League, but SOS seems like he's reached another level in terms of PvP, defeating CJ Hero yesterday in a massive macro match. That says a lot about someone's PvP, I think.
Starting off on Echo, going to be a little bit of a different map. I don't think we're going to see as late of a Deadwing type game, but still, it could go to late game. It could go to 3 bases and max out Protoss armies.
We have seen it before on this map, but it's also interesting to note the last time these two played each other, it was on the bigger maps. It was on Vani Research. It was on Deadwing. Zest had a lot more time to get into his very comfortable late game position. This time around, though, it is that close to quarters. It can still go pretty late, but I think we might see a bit of a different game this time.
Yeah, very likely. Now, remember, guys, again, as you guys were describing yesterday, we are in the all-kill format now, the format that many have called the GSTL format. So it's all about positioning of your players on certain maps.
That's right.
And getting early advantages really means a lot more than if you had a predetermined lineup like we do in the regular season, where you're like, okay, these are the matches that we're less likely to win, but if we can get these points, we get a bit of momentum. This is just like, you cannot let someone like SOS get out of control.
No, absolutely. And we saw it yesterday firsthand when CJ so boldly put out their ace player first. SOS stomped him, then they bring out another one, and he just went through the lineup from there, and it just got easier and easier for him because that momentum was behind him.
Absolutely. Here are our rankings, by the way. It's no coincidence that our top 4 teams are the 4 teams we saw here in the playoffs. CJ did take that loss yesterday, so they're not going to make as many points as they'd like. SKT still sitting pretty way up there on top. They're pretty happy, no doubt, that CJ Entis, of course, lost yesterday. They're not going to be able to approach them. Here's our map list for today, starting off with a PvP on Echo. They were going into Expedition Lost, so 2 two-player maps right away. Then we're going into Deadwing, a bit of a bigger one in Game 3.
That's right. And then Cactus Valley, Vani, Research, Coda, then Echo again. And an interesting thing to note is the higher-ranked team starts the pick. So I believe today it would have to be KT Rolster because they began in that silver match position because they did get second place. So they wanted to start with the potential PvP. That's why they put out Zest. And, you know, Jin just felt so good about things yesterday to throw it out of SOS again, see what damage he can do.
Here's some interesting stats here about these two teams. As you can see, KT Rolster is quite good at the all-kill format. But, you know, the 4-1s, a lot of those, they've got their 13-3, so pretty good records for KT Rolster. A lot of this comes, of course, from matches we've seen in the past, like last season where KT Rolster was doing incredibly well. Zest getting all kills, for example.
Absolutely. And it's been a while since then, too. You know, Zest isn't what he used to be. Zest has been having a bit of trouble here and there, especially in PvP, which is going to be pretty interesting today.
Yeah. Now, taking a look at some of our records here for individual players in recent times, you see that Stats and Zest, Stats having a much better time than Zest. Zest losing about as much as he's winning. Life as well, having a really bad round 3.
Yeah. We're sort of starting to see the resurgence of TY as well. He's starting to look really strong again, so today could be a big day for him as well.
Now, Jin Green Wings has a great lineup of players, but their big 4, it's hard to identify them as strong as it used to be before, because it used to be, okay, you've got SOS, Maru, Rogue, and then you've got Cure, but now it's not looking as easy to pick who those players are that we're going to see. Will the all-killer jinx be repeated?
I guess we'll have to find out. And will the KT Protoss players be able to overcome Maru?
And that's a really interesting way to spin this series, almost saying that only the Protoss players have a chance at beating him.
Well, I do think Life has a good chance as well. You know, Bjell has always had Maru's number in recent times. It's one of the big things. And Life, I think, is probably a step down from Bjell at this point, but still a very dangerous Zerg player.
Oh, I feel like Jin Air Green Wings has a lot of snipe players they can rely on that we might not yet know about what they're planning on using. For example, what about a player like Terminator? What about Pig Baby? These are players that we could see come out for a specific snipe build versus one of these KT players. Something that we never really get to see these players that often in the preset tournament. But we're going to go into this coach interview before we talk about anything else.
감독님께 궁금한 사항도 여쭤보도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 강도경 감독님, 주성욱 선수의 선봉 출전은
First to the KT coach.
김유진 선수를 혹시 예상하셨던 건가요?
How do you feel about Zest as your first player? I did expect SOS today, or a Protoss player to come out today.
어제 상당히 좋은 분위기를 이어갔잖아요. 주성욱 선수는 좀 부담스러워하지는 않았는지 굉장히 궁금합니다.
Didn't Zest feel any pressure coming out as the first player? I didn't really get a chance to talk to him about that. But he saw that SOS was his opponent, and he felt pretty satisfied about that because SOS showed a lot of skills yesterday.
조성 선수에 대한 어떤 그 파해법 살짝 어떤 힌트 같은 거라도 주신다면 어떤 식으로 요리를 하실 건지 닥치는 대로 좀
How did you prepare for Maru?
그 결과 뭐
We just did our best to prepare for Maru.
하고 있는데 꼭 끊을 수 있도록
We have a losing record,
많이 했으니까
a losing streak against Jin Air right now.
네. 최준 감독님,
So we found a solution at the team house. We should be able to get the win.
선수 본인의 의지였나요, 아니면 감독님의 의지였나요?
So SOS is the first player again. Was this a player decision or a coach decision? The coach says it was his decision. He did very well yesterday, so that's the reason why I decided to use him again.
네, 이유가
너무 오픈 안 하시는 거 아니에요?
이유를 말씀드리면
So if I let you know the reason, it's
어저께 유진이가 올킬을 하면 올킬을 했고
they didn't all kill yesterday and
경기수가 워낙 많았기 때문에 KT에서 생각하기에
played a lot of
일단
sets.
유진이는 좀 뒤쪽으로 뺄 것 같고 그러면
Probably
앞으로
KT didn't expect him to come again as the first player because it's too predictable. Probably expected him to come out as one of the later players, he's saying. So this is kind of a bit of a play that feels quite smart because it's unexpected. They expected Trap or Cure, or they expected they would expect a player like that because it's a good map for Protoss instead of SOS because he showed so many games yesterday, he showed so many strategies. But instead it's going to be SOS first, so they're trying to throw a bit of a curveball here.
또 김유진이 워낙 다양한 플레이를 하기 때문에
SOS has many various builds he can rely on, so very versatile. He's a good player against any other players on KT. And he has so much momentum right now, so I wanted to carry that momentum into today's matches as well.
너무나도 완벽한 대답을 해주셔서 감사합니다.
Saying thank you so much for giving me such an awesome, wonderful answer there. Very, I guess, fulfilling answer, like much more informative than what we normally get in an interview.
Very straightforward.
Yeah.
오늘은 변칙 엔트리 쓰실 것인지 아니면 약간 그 기존의 어떤 판도대로 가실 것인지 좀 궁금하거든요.
Are you going to change your lineup a bit tonight? Or is it going to be the same 4 players you always use?
준비는 했지만
It's going to depend on the situation. Every player in our team is prepared to come out tonight, but it's going to be depending on the situation. Thank you.
So very much more basic answer there from the CJ coach. But got some events down here at Pro League, but let's talk more about this format and how Jin Air has these players that I was talking about before that we don't see ever in the individual lines where they can use, because I think that it's really important to note that our last 2 maps are the repeat map, Echo, and Coda is a 6th map, if I'm not mistaken. So we've got these 2-player maps that are a bit tricky. And we could definitely see all-ins come out. And the question, of course, on everyone's mind is, and this is one of our viewpoints basically, is when is Maru going to come out? How long are they going to wait before they send this guy out? Because if he is eliminated, it makes Jin Air's lineup look a lot weaker.
It does. He is a very dangerous opponent. I think they might be saving him. I think they have to save him for stats. I think he's the one player you want to save him for, maybe for TY as well.
Yeah.
TY is very dangerous at this point. I think he's actually going to be one of their big hitters for KT tonight.
Yeah, I feel like he might even be the 2nd player that comes out here should Zest lose.
It'd be a tricky decision because it is going to be Expedition lost the 2nd map. So, you know, obviously a Zerg player would be a good choice.
That's
but
true.
It's going to be live would be the one choice that they have, and maybe that's super predictable.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to send Sleep out today, I don't think.
Or Penguin for that matter. Hopefully
Right.
not at least. I think when you look at the KT lineup, despite what he says, I think it would have to be the 4 heavy hitters for KT. It's like Zest, Then you got TY, Stats, and Life, or Flash.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really deviate too much from that, or you're taking some big risks.
Yeah, you really are, and this is high stakes right now. This is who decides who goes to the finals versus SKT, and all the fans are hoping that KT makes it, so we have none of those epic KT versus SKT finals that we haven't had in a while. But I feel like the predictability of KT is somewhat glaringly obvious, which does make for some possible snipe picks. Would love to see Terminator come out today. Is he one of the best players? Is he going to get multiple kills? Probably not. But if he's got a special strategy prepared, I would like to see that. Our predictions here are quite varied from what I thought they would be. Only Kanata voting for Zest.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It does make sense, though. Zest does have that standing record against SOS. The last 2 times they met in Pro League was 2-0. In favor of Zest, but SOS, man.
Yeah, and team predictions here, 3-3. Myself, Kanata, and analyst Daehyun voting for Jin Air, whereas you, Valdez, and the Monday caster are going for KT.
Yeah. I do have faith in KT today. We haven't really seen much depth in Jin Air's lineup, so it's hard to kind of gauge how good these guys are actually going to play. We only got to see one player yesterday.
Yeah.
But I think if SOS gets dismantled, Mario hasn't been playing that good lately, and the other players, Rogue, like he's very hit or miss. He's usually very good in this kind of situation, though. So it's very up in the air.
This is a really tough one to predict, which is why I feel we got that 3-3 score that we almost never see 3-3s in predictions for anything. So that, again, goes to show you how close this matchup is looking right now, even from the commentator's perspective.
Yeah, it's a very hard one to pick. Maybe if we got more of a view of what Jin Air has to offer yesterday, we have a better sort of view of how to predict it.
Well, here's Zest, 7-6 versus Cross. Seems to be his worst matchup currently. More than half of his losses this season coming in that matchup. Several of those against Creator. And he has an incredible record versus SOS, which is something you mentioned earlier. He's 9-4.
It's pretty interesting, and I definitely think it's a stylistic sort of thing. Zest loves to go to the late game in PvP. He has a much better mindset when it comes to the late game, where we've seen SOS in the past kind of falter when it gets to that stage, especially against Zest.
Well, always a smile on SOS's face.
Well, only a smile in the first game. After that, he gets a little too serious. We saw him yesterday, and he looked like he was hurting from winning too much. It was so weird. He's like, I've killed too many people today, and it's
starting to feel some remorse.
Yeah, he's getting actual remorse from just kicking too much ass. And he beat Hero yesterday, which is a massive win in itself. That is such a big PvP win. But he's been doing well recently, just the same, man. He beat Rain, he beat Youngshik, Sora, Super in very recent times in like the last month. So he's kind of figured out what he has to do in this matchup.
Well, I mean, even his win versus Hero back in the day, $$, at the IM World Championship, he knows how to play PvP. He knows how to get into people's heads. We're going to jump into this game right away here, ladies and gentlemen. Zest versus SOS, game number 1 here in the semifinals of round 3. The bottom left in red for KT Rolster, it's Zest.
And up here in the top left for Jin Air Green Wings, it is the Ult Killer, SOS.
4-0 yesterday on that rad winning streak. These two players, of course, both coming from early background in Brood War. SOS coming from Moonjin Stars and Zest. The same team once calling himself, cover yourself with blood.
That's pretty interesting.
These two have been around a long time, and you do see actually the favor of the fans goes to Zest slightly at 59%.
I can understand that. We'll see how SOS is feeling. He did have a big day yesterday. He hasn't had much time to prepare for Zest as well. So it's also something to consider. Despite having such success, he might be tired. He might not just had what he needs to do to get ready for today's match.
You see a very quick gateway coming out for Zest, most likely to rush that tech, whereas we see a normal gateway timing for SOS. But you make a good point. He probably didn't get that much rest yesterday, playing those 4 matches in a row in front of a crowd in such a high-stakes manner, and also that momentum that you get does kind of wear on you a little bit. It is very exhausting. Sometimes in a good way, where you go home and you get a good night's rest because you know you just totally, you killed it. You were perfect. You made no mistakes. And on the other hand, this does mean that Zest has PvP to study from him yesterday. The Deadwing game obviously going to be quite different from this one because the map couldn't be bigger in differences the way the map is played.
Yeah, it's kind of the handicap you get as the third or fourth team going into the playoffs. You know, you have to play in a row so you don't get that practice time, that rest time that everyone else gets, especially the silver and gold players.
Yeah. Well, we are going to see a second gas come up here for SOS a bit later. Again, furthering the idea that Zest will be rushing out tech here as soon as possible, as soon as that core is done.
Yeah, look at this.
Look at how ahead it is.
Yeah, that is miles ahead, but where is he going to put this probe? Looks like he was thinking about going up to the top right there. Change his mind, going to just go for a simple scout at a simple time. Yep. And that looks like it might be a Stargate.
Well, what's really interesting is if he wants to rush tech, now he can't really because the probe's coming. He sends his probe across the map, and because he did that that hidden pylon at the natural, this might scare SOS. He might come in here and see the missing pylons. There's a probe out on the map, and so obviously he has to think about that as well. Sees the chrono on the Stalker here.
Yeah, he's not going to get a... He's going to see the full base, but he's not going to see that second pylon.
Yeah, and that's a bit alarming.
Big paranoia there. Look at that, very early second gate from SOS as well, so he's going to have a little bit more of a safety build to start things off there. He's going to have more gateway units out, more Stalkers out. He'll be ready for anything. Yeah,
Twilight Council to follow up is going to be the tech here. He's really trying to chase this probe down. He hasn't fired yet because he wants to get as close on it as he can before he shoots to make sure he doesn't lose that acceleration. But the probe looks like it will fall. Very well done. Now he's got the high ground here. He can actually fight the Stalker with an advantage.
Ooh, smart from SOS. And there we go. Chrono boosting out those double Stalkers. So he's going to have map control for some time. He's going to be pretty much immune to any sort of early aggression, unless it is DPs, obviously.
The Mothership core here, he's going to have to back that Stalker up. But yeah, I mean, he's set for anything, and it is DTs. In fact, Dark Shrine is on the way. 2 more gateways, Chrono Boost on that Warp Gate research to make sure it can line up with the Dark Shrine finishing. There is a good placement here on this forward pylon.
That is a sexy pylon. Let's see how aggressive SOS is going to be on that map. Is he going to be searching around for these proxies?
That sentry is also very important. Actually, 2 sentries we're seeing now. If he has those in position, he should be able to deny the DTs no matter what. This Stalker very aggressively out of position, is going to take some shield damage. A Nexus is placed. Dark Shrine's halfway done. Time's running out here. He's going to need to be very aware with those sentries.
Yeah, he's going to have eyes on that ramp, and he's going to have to start that robo soon, or he's just not going to have anything to detect for a while. Oh, there it goes down.
Those sentries are not on the ramp.
They might be moving there now. Ooh, nice position from Zest as well.
Yeah, Zest getting a ton of damage on these. SOS could be in some serious trouble, though. Dark Shrine's nearly done. That Robo a long, long ways away from finishing, and I don't believe those sentries got to the ramp. I think he's just keeping them back in his base, almost like he's scared of Oracle play.
Yeah, I think he must be at this point. He's hiding it back there. He knows it's some kind of tech at this point.
Oh, 2 DTs coming in. He's got a Mothership core nearby. Let's see if he can actually see that shimmer of the DTs. Otherwise, this could be a very quick first game here, Moonglade. Here they come.
Oh, look at this. That pylon that's powering that Robo as well is so out in the middle of nowhere. He can target that down.
He has no idea. He's just going to go for the Robo.
Oh, wow.
This almost never happens in Korean PvP. A player will actually kill the robotics. This will happen. He tries to block with force fields, but he should be able to get it. Stalkers come in to help out. The Robo will go down, and that should be game, ladies and gentlemen, here in Game 1. The winning streak of SOS has ended here.
Completely ended by that build order and that move. Just a very exposed Robo.
GG.
Wow. And that's a great way to start the day for KT. Getting rid of one of the most scary players on Jin Air right now. All killing CJ yesterday.
And part of this game I feel goes down to a very simple thing, is that pylon hidden at the natural. He was so paranoid about Oracles that he didn't keep his sentries at the ramp. He had them in the base with Stalkers there. No idea that there was a possibility of DTs, no scouting information, so he had to brace for a possibility of an Oracle. And it was DTs that ended up killing him there. A smart move by Zest.
I also think putting that Robo out there like he did was a huge mistake as well. He should have had that in the back of his base. So, maybe if he has to, his sentries can help out with force fields in a much more efficient way. Big mistake there. Just a very unexpected build order from Zest.
Yeah. You mentioned it. He went to kill the Robo, which he was able to do because he knew it wasn't even finished yet when he got into the base. But killing the pylon even, had the DTs even been a little bit later, a worse pylon, probably could have killed the pylon and then powered it and repeatedly done that and won the game either way.
It was very exposed, a very exposed piece of tech there.
Yeah, just a bad placement on that Robo. Comes back to hurt him.
it would have been good if the sentries were on the ramp. It like would have made sense because that observer would have popped out in vision of the ramp. But he was waiting in that mineral line because he was so afraid of oracles. And I think that's a huge mistake because he always had his mothership core there as well.
Yeah.
So he can photon overcharge, get rid of the oracle, and he'd still have safe probes. So a little bit of a mistake there from SOS.
Well, the question now is, going into Expedition Lost, are we going to see Rogue come out early on here for Jenner Greenwing?
I think we might have to. I think Rogue is definitely the player that you'd want against someone like Zest, especially on a map like Expedition Lost, because Rogue he's shown so much power in the past on this map. He's got great builds for it.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate for Jenner as well, because right now, even though that's a good map for Zerg to come out on, Zerg versus Protoss in Korea, a lot of Zergs are really unhappy with the meta, really unhappy with the matchup. It's a tough matchup for Zergs, right? So this is a bit of a stressful situation here where it's like, Rogue is the best pick on paper, but you really don't want to have him play against Zest if you can help it.
Yeah, well, you certainly don't want to send out a Terran on this map either. I mean, what else could you really do in this kind of situation? I feel like they have limited choices because they do have that solid 4. They don't really mix it up that much.
Yeah.
I mean, if they want to throw...
In Game 2 is always the map where you could send a weird snipe pick, because on Game 2 you know your opponent and you know the map, but they don't know who you're going to pick, so you can have this weird advantage. So this is when maybe a pick like Terminator could come out.
Terminator,
risky pick. It's a risky pick.
Maybe. I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I'm just
it's hard to say.
the possibility, right?
Yeah, right. It could. I mean, it could be anyone at this point. It could be Symbol as well. Symbol's not bad. He's a dangerous player. He hasn't had that much success recently, but he's very capable.
Yeah, it's an all-kill format. So